Hey guys, Ezra here and welcome back to another Ezra review. And I guess for the first review of 2025, I'm gonna be reviewing Squid Game Season 2. And this will be a spoiler review, obviously, and Season 3 is coming in, I think, summer or fall 2025, and it's gonna be the conclusion of the Squid Game series, And I'm glad that hwangdonghyuk, the creator of Squid Game, doesn't try to milk Squid Game to death. I feel like Season 2 and Season 3 are enough to give us the fans more of the Squid Game world, but at the same time doesn't really going too far with it, And it feels like it seems like season 3 is gonna be the conclusion to the entire Squid Game franchise, But for this video, I'm gonna be reviewing Squid Game season 2, and I will be reviewing each of the episodes, so there will be timestamp in the videos, where I will be reviewing its episodes, and then I will have my prediction for what's going to happen in season 3, and so I guess without further ado, let's just start right away with the first episode called Bread and Lottery, as we follow Song Gi-hoon once again, played by Leejungjae, as he left the terminal, exactly after the end of season 1, where he tries to find where the frontman was, and try to stop the game. And it was revealed that the Squid Game people essentially have put a tracker on Gi-hun, and that's why they know where his location was, and it was behind the ear, which I think that's cool, because like in the first season, the Squid Game soldier, they keep like scanning people behind the ear, and they didn't even occur to me, why they need to scan their ear, I was like, yeah, okay, I guess they're just scanning people there, but I guess it makes sense that there is a chip in there, or like a tracker that was able to track these players, so Gi-hun decided to remove that, and then after that, the series cuts 2 years later, where Gi-hun actually working together with his former loan shark, which I think it was played by the same actor from the first season. And this answered the question that some people think that it was a plot hole from the first season, where seems like the loan shark character just disappeared entirely, by the time you get to the final episode of season 1, but in season 2 here, it was revealed that yes, Gi-hun obviously pay his debt, and now he's actually hiring the former loan shark to actually work in together with him to find the recruiter, played by Gong Yoo once again, and they've been looking for this recruiter for the past 2 years, and they never find him, because he was, I guess, well, he has a bunch of network, like Squid Game are a big organization, so I'm assuming that obviously they are planning this, for the very beginning to avoid Gi-hun's people, for 2 years, But so they've been working a lot of time to find these people, and in the meanwhile, we cut back to Detective Junho, which was revealed that he survived the shooting by his brother, in the first season, and he is basically back being a cop again, but this time he's basically being like a traffic officer, because like he kind of giving up, I guess, or I guess like he's trying to keep his brother a secret, because his brother is the front man, the man who is responsible for the game, sorta, I guess, and he doesn't want anybody to find out that it was actually his brother the entire time, so that's why Junho decided to keep his brother's identity a secret, keep the front man identity a secret, but secretly he's been working together with this fisherman, I think, where he's trying to find the island where the Squid Game was being held, and in the meantime, we cutting back to Gi-hun and and basically his former loan shark people, you could say that, where he and Kim and Woshuk, that's his name, like Kim and Woshuk basically able to find the recruiter by chance again, because I think it was intentional by the Squid Game people, I'm assuming, and this is where they try to follow the recruiter, and they try to catch him, but the recruiter basically beat both of them, and then they decide to play a Russian roulette, and sadly was resulting in Kim's death, which is the loan shark boss's death, where he basically sacrificed himself so Woo Shuk can actually live, and I gotta say, my Gongyo performance in this scene was absolutely insane, because he was an insane man, because before this we also got the, going back to the title of the episodes, the bread and lottery, where he offers the people bread or lottery to poor people, which I think he just did this for the sake of it, I don't think this has anything to do with like the game, the Squid Game, you could say that, and he's just like a psychopath that basically enjoy tormenting poor people, and that's why he created his own game, which is like bread or lottery, and most people pick lottery, it's like, yeah, I get it, if you get that $1 million, like $10 million, then yeah, obviously, or 10 million won, or like $1 million, then obviously that money will change your life, so that's why most people pick that. But even though they ignore the bread, which is an obvious food right in front of them, but yeah, after this, the recruiter decided to visit Gihan in his operational base, which is like a hotel, something like that, and they decided to play another Russian roulette, and then this is where we get some amazing dialogue, between Gihan and the recruiter, because we get the backstory from the recruiter that he used to be like the circle soldier guy in Squid Game. He used to work there, basically burning bodies, in the game, and then I think he gradually, improve himself and eventually becoming the recruiter, because after when he was in the game, he actually killed his own dad, and then he actually felt happy by doing that because he feel that, oh, I actually caught up for this job, and then it was absolutely insane, and I know I said this before, but like, yeah, Gongyo performance, in this scene and before are absolutely insane, and then he is like the best actor in this series in my opinion, and it was sad to see him go, because like they play Russian roulette, and then Gihan win fair and square, because the recruiter basically died, by the last shot, from the gun, and it was like, yeah, I was actually kind of wishing that he didn't die in this episode, because I really love Gongyo performance, and I think the recruiter's character are really interesting, and it's simply the highlight of this first episode, so I'm really sad to see him go, and I know that he's the bad guy, he's absolutely insane, and doesn't really like he's an asshole to the poor people, because he calls them, trash, like they were completely useless, and that's why they try to get rid of the trash, and that's why the Squid Game exists, and Gihan obviously countered that argument that, well, the recruiter are basically just a dog, they're basically barking and then like waving, his tail to the masters, so like you're nothing but a dog to them. And the recruiter decided to kill himself, rather than admit that he is actually a dog to the masters, so that's how the first episodes end, and it was like, yeah, it's a good first episode, and again, the recruiter's counter are certainly the highlight of this first episode, and it kind of sad to see him go, to be honest, because I absolutely love Gongyo's performance, I kind of wish we see him more, in Squid Game season 2, but I get it, because like, what more can you do with these characters, so like, I think hwangdonghyuk decided to end the characters here, because I don't think he has other plans for the future of the characters, and I think it's a really just a blow off ending, to be honest, for his character. So cool, let's move on to episode 2 called Halloween Party. This is where Gihan, Junho, and Woseok decide to work together as a team, where they decide to they find a card in the recruiter's jacket, where it was revealed that Gihan got an invitation to be at the Halloween party, on obviously on October 31st on a nightclub, I think. And they decide to go work together, Woseok basically records like a team of mercenaries, and obviously Gihan use his own money, to hire the mercenaries, and then he implants like a tracker in his tooth, so at the time, we get a little bit of an update, from Sang-woo's mother and Chol, which is Kang Se-byuk's little brother, but just a tiny bit, and I think there is some storyline here where I think Gihan tried to bring Kang Se-byuk's mother from the North Korea to South Korea, and I think that's gonna happen maybe in season 3, because again, in episode 2 we touched upon a little bit for this storyline from season 1, and it was actually quite like that, but for the most part here we are focusing on Gihan, Junho, and Woseok, where they try and the team of mercenaries where they try to go to this Halloween party, and then this is where Gihan gets escorted by the pink soldier, the square soldier, and then Woseok was actually got knocked up by the square soldiers, and they get into the Gihan basically get into a limousine, and this is where he has a conversation with the frontman, and Gihan basically convinced the frontman to basically put him back in the game, because the rest of the team are trying to chase after Gihan and the limousine, but it was revealed that there's several pink soldiers, in the building that basically shoot the tires of Gihan's team, which is like, damn, it was quite insane, man. because to me it feels like an action movie at this point. You know, it feels like a Jason Bourne movie in a way, you know, where there's a bunch of snipers that was ready to take you out at any moment. You know, like the Squid Game organization is really big and it's really insane. You know, so yeah, I like this expansion a lot. You know, but yeah, Giham basically convinced the frontman to basically put him back in the game. You know, but yeah, and besides Gihan, Jianho, and Wusuk, you know, we have other characters here, you know, which is a father, I think, that has a daughter, you know, where his daughter actually sick, you know, for, I think, for like a cancer or something like that, you know, and the daughter was dying, you know, and then we get another new character named Kang No Yol, you know, which is a North Korea defector, you know, where she wanted to extract her daughter from the North Korea, you know, and that's why he decided to enter the Squid Game, you know, but the twist is that Kang Neo not actually in entering the Squid Game as a player, but she's actually becoming the soldiers, you know, which is a square soldiers, you know. So I think this reveal make kind of makes sense to me because like the square soldiers are literally soldiers, you know, they're using guns to kill people, you know. So it was revealed that one of them at least are a North Korean defector. So what's to say that the rest of them are not from, you know, North Korea, right? Which is like a soldiers that was maybe retired or has some other problems as well, and that's why they decided to take the job as a pink soldiers here, you know. So I think that's really cool, you know, and that's how the second episode's end, you know. And after this, we move on to episode 3 called Player 001, you know. And this is where Gihan backs at the Squid Game, you know. And to me, when this episode started, you know, it feels really nostalgic, you know, obviously from the first season, you know, where he first wake up in Squid Game, you know. And I like how the rest of the scene was handled, you know, where we get to introduce to a bunch of new players as well, you know. Like one of them actually has a crypto scam, you know, which is kind of like so relevant to this day, you know, because there's a lot of people got scammed by crypto, you know. And yeah, there's a bunch of people who has obviously depth among them, you know, and then we get to see some similar scene basically from the first season, you know, and we get some similar dialogue and moment from the first season, you know, but this time Gihan was obviously already know what's going to happen, you know, so he decided to take care of the player as many or basically save as many players as much as possible, you know. And Gihan also met his old friend named Jungbae, you know, like Jungbae actually was in the first season, you know. I think he was in episode 1 and 2, you know, and then he just disappeared. And now I'm glad that Hwangdonghyuk actually bring this character back, you know, because you know, it was Gihan's friend, you know, so there is a bit of the emotional attachment there, you know. So he advised Jungbae to stay close to him, you know, but obviously everybody around Gihan thinks that, oh, Song Gihan here is obviously insane because like he was like screaming about like, hey, you have to complete the game because otherwise you're gonna get killed, you know. So obviously everybody thinks that, oh, this guy must be drunk or something like that, you know. But yeah, after this we get to the first game, which is like, you know, red light green light, you know, and Gihan again warns the player that the elimination will results in death, you know. So in the gameplay itself, you know, Gihan tries to basically tell the people to stand still, you know, obviously after the red light green light, you know, and then he was able to keep the game going without anybody dies, you know, until player 230, you know, which is a rapper known as Thanos, you know, which I think Thanos here is the best new characters in season 2, by the way. Like he was amazing, you know. And he tells one of the players, you know, where she has like a bee in her neck, you know, and then because of that she moved and then she got killed, you know, because that's the rules, right? And after this is what the rest of the player decided to run away because some similar scenes to the second season one, you know, except the differences is that we get to see Kang Ne-ul, you know, which is a character that was from the previous episodes where she's becoming a square triangle soldiers, and it was revealed that the gun that was basically killing the people are actually the pink soldier's gun, you know, because in the first season I always thought that the gun was, you know, automated, you know, because we never see the person behind the gun, you know. So I thought that, oh, the doll are obviously a sensor, you know, and then the gun are obviously automatic, you know, and obviously connected to the doll, you know. And that's what my impression for the first game in the first season, you know. But no, in this one it was revealed that the pink soldiers are the triangle soldiers are the one who are responsible for eliminating the players, you know, and one of them is Kang Myo-ul, you know. So after this, you know, Giham basically was able to save as many people as possible, you know, because they're following his strategy to make a line, you know, and then like the front person. So the front person is the only one that get scanned by the doll, you know, so everybody can make it to safety, you know. But in a while, Gihan actually try to save like a player, because he was shot in the knee, and it was revealed that the people who shot him in the knee was actually responsible for like the organ harvesting mission, So Gihan and player 120 named Hyunju, which is like a transgender character, attempts to save the eliminated players, at the time, and then they were able to save him at the nick of time, which I think I really like the scenes, because even though it's the same game, they were able to make the scenes a bit more intense, or I guess like the same as intense as the first season, and try to introduce like a new idea of it, and obviously it feels nostalgic, but at the same time it still felt pretty much intense at the same time, and then we get to see hear some remix of Fly Me to the Moon, which I think is good, but even though that the Gihan and Hyunju was able to save the player, it was actually still shot, because Newell decided to eliminate the losers, So I think this is the impression that we get, that Newell was actually a bit, like she doesn't feel any sympathy for the players, because I always thought that in the second episode, Kang Newell characters was gonna be a bit more sympathetic, because he's trying to save her daughter from the North Korea, and they make us, I guess like makes the character a bit relatable, to some people in Korea, but at the same time, after episode 3, it was revealed that she doesn't give a fuck about the other players' life, and just eliminate them at the same time, So yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem like she's gonna be a sympathetic character, At least not now, But I know that her relationship with the father character, in this season is gonna be explored even further in season 3, But yeah. So after the game, Gihan urged the player to vote the games to end, because if they vote the games to end, then they were able to take the prize money and try to spread that money evenly amongst the players, But obviously, most players disagree, because they have a lot of debt, and that money is not enough, So obviously this time they decided to vote again, and after that intense vote, we can see that it's also similar to the first season. It's down to it's down to player 1 again, to decide the vote, and then player 1 decided to choose O, basically the game will continue, and it was revealed that the player 1 was actually the frontman, Hwangdonghyuk, played by Leebyunghun, So I'm really glad that Leebyunghun actually get to take his mask off, and then now he's playing an actual character in season 2, which I absolutely love that, So yeah, so now the frontman or Hwangdonghyuk was actually in the game alongside our player, and I think this should be interesting, right? So that's a good end way for episode 3 now, and we move on to episode 4. Here is called Six Legs, and we get to see several of the players decide to make an alliance, We got player 1, Hwangdonghyuk, or I guess in this one his name was Young-il, which is like it's not his real name, but obviously it's a reference to him being number 1. And we see several characters as well. There's a mother and a son characters, that I think is a really, really good new characters. There is Thanos, obviously. That was the fun characters that we had, and there is also some the YouTuber characters and some pregnant lady, who is the YouTuber's girlfriend, or I guess like former girlfriend. And they all decide to form an alliance here for Squid Game so they can survive the game, because now they know what's the stakes for the game itself, even though they still wanted to continue because of they needed the money, but in the meantime, we did cut away to go back to Kang Neo-oh's characters, where she was called by a lab officer, where who's been harvesting the organ and to sell them on the black market, and the officer just decided to order Neo-oh to ignore the activities, and basically let the other people to decide to do their job, because like Neo-oh keeps killing the players, and obviously they needed at least one player to still be alive so they can harvest their organs, but Neo decided to refuse, and then we go back to Junho for a little bit, I guess, where he's trying to get the assistance from the police, but it was unsuccessful, and we go back to Gihan again, and then they decide to start the second game, which is called the Six Leg Pentalon, I think, which is consisting of 5 children's games. One of them is Dakji, Bisok Chigi, Gongji, Jegi, and Spinning Top, and they have to complete the game under 5-minute time limit, so the 4 episodes basically end with 2 teams trying to complete the game, which I think this is like equivalent to me like to the Dalgona game, because the Dalgona game there is some intense moment there, but for the most part it was kind of fun. It was kind of funny, especially when Gihan start to lick the dalgona candy, which I think is quite amazing. There is even like a dream sequence where they play a dalgona candy and like Gihan just like see a nightmare of the triangle, where it became like super complicated for him. Like damn, that was kind of funny to be honest, but also like I understand why he was traumatized by that. But yeah, this game itself, I think is generally fun to be honest. I think that like the intense moment of the gameplay is kind of like gone for a while, and then you're just having fun with the characters playing the game, so and that's how episode 4 ended, and obviously episode 5, called One More Game. We follow Hyunju's team, where this time we're actually following characters that we actually know, and so we can actually root for them to succeed, So I think this is where the intensity came, where each of the characters decide to play the game respectfully, and then they try to support each other, even though there's this one crazy lady, which is I think just genuinely crazy, and they speak about God and heaven or like whatever it is, and then she has like the devil eyes in my opinion, she is actually creepy, and she's like the odd one off from Hyunju's team essentially, and then. But again, Hyunju's team basically managed to win the game, with the mutual support, like he or she even slapped like the crazy lady twice in the face, which I think I kind of found it to be pretty funny, but also honestly well deserved because everybody is like have mutual support except this crazy lady, so because of that they were able to surpass the game, and then this basically gives a courage to the other players to finish the game, and this is where the scene becomes really funny, because you got several supporters, try to watch the game, and then basically just trying to root for as many people as possible to survive the game, so I think this whole scene is really fun. I know that some people might be disappointed that the game itself is not intense, but I don't think every single Squid Game has to be intense. I think something is okay to be fun, for a while. And we finally get to Gihan's team, where they managed to basically complete nearly all the game until Yong Il, or I guess Hwang In-hyo, the frontman, decide to screw up, where he plays to spinning top, I think, that's the game's name, and then he actually screw up several times, like I don't know if he actually planned to do that just to make the game much more interesting and intense, because obviously the VIPs are watching somewhere, out there, so maybe maybe it was intentional for him to do that, or maybe he actually indeed screw up, it was a genuine mistake, because it seems like he actually tried to play the game fair and square, which I think I quite respect that, but at the same time there's also this other thoughts that maybe he's doing it for a purpose, but nevertheless, he does complete the game, and then obviously Gihan also completes the game, with a little bit of save from Hwang In-hyo, in the end there, but yeah, they managed to complete the game, and so after the game finished, they have another vote, if they want to continue or stop the game, and this time is actually interesting, because like Hwang In-hyo, player 1, are actually trying to stop the people, to basically stop the game, But I feel like he's trying to prove to Gihan a point here, where obviously the game will not stop until the people change, the world change, because obviously this game exists because these people wanted to continue, and I think this vote here are basically a giant wake-up call for Gihan, where he basically kind of give up his hope for humanity in a way, because the vote here are not even close, because I think the people who opposed the game was like 116, and the people who want the games to continue was actually 139. So it's not even a close vote there. And even his own friend Junbei are actually voted O here. Like he wants to continue the game because he has a bunch of debt to pay. So like damn, dude, like that must be hard. Seeing your best friend to vote against you. But Gihan and Junbei does have his own nice moment here in episode 5, where we get to see a little bit of the old Gihan here, which I absolutely love, because Song Gyun's character are obviously changing and developing from season 1 and season 2. Season 1 characters of Song Gyun was a bit more different, he's a bit more innocent, obviously, and a bit more cheerful, but in season 2, obviously, his character are developing a bit more, so he was a different person. So I think it's nice in here, where Junbei basically bring back the old Gihan for a while, and I think again Leejungjae's acting in this scene was absolutely amazing, because he was able to convey or try to differentiate himself, from the previous Gihan to this new Gihan, and then try to bring back the old Gihan, even though for like a little bit, so I think I absolutely love that. But yeah, after this, Gihan decided to continue the game, obviously, because he has no choice, and then they will actually go to the third game here, where it was called mingle, or like mingle, where the players decide to stand in the middle of the room, and then as the room spin around a thing, and they have to decide to because the game will decide like a number, and that number will be the amount of player that was needed to go to like a designated room, for 30 seconds. If not, then obviously they get eliminated. And that's how episode 5 ends. So let's move on directly to episode 6 here, called OX here. And during the middle section, which I think this is like the most famous game in season 2 in my opinion. I think it's really, really intense. We see several of the intense run itself, where some of the players are struggling to fit into like the room, and try to find a new opponent and people, to basically fit the number that was required, by the game itself, and I think this is the most intense scene, because like I was afraid that some of the characters die, and there is one character that sadly died, I forgot her name, but it was basically Hyungju, like best friends, I guess you could say that, and yeah, it was really sad to see him go, because like the person that basically kind of screwed that up, it was an accident, I guess you could say that, but the team was saved by the crypto YouTubers guy, and there is yeah, it was a really intense moment that I feel like the YouTuber guy actually has a point, because obviously if Hyungju actually tried to save his friend out there, then obviously they're all gonna get killed, because the timer will run out, so technically he did save his team, and it hurts. It really hurts, and there is also another hurt moment, where the mother and the son counters, where the son just basically getting dragged away by a bunch of people, and the mother was basically letting the son go, because like obviously she knows that her son was actually safe, but thankfully Gihan and Hwang In-hyo actually grabbed the mother, and then they entered the room together. So thank God for that, because I love the mother and son character, so I don't want anything bad happen to them, but something bad might happen to them in season 3, to be honest, but hopefully not, hopefully the mother and son character can go back home together, because I love them a lot, but yeah, we get to the final round essentially, where we see the remaining players, and then Inho basically said that the game will pick number 2, because to eliminate the remaining players, this also makes sense, because he's the frontman, so he knows what's gonna be the next number, what makes sense, and yeah, this last final round is actually really intense, because everything was played in a slow motion, and then you were basically watching each and every characters to like, are they gonna make it, are they gonna get to the room, and thankfully they all make it into the room, and I feel like the sign of relief, but Junbei decided to go with player 1, Wang In-hyo, and then In-hyo actually kill a guy, in the room together with them, before the timer runs out, because obviously if you went into the room with not the designated numbers, because for example, if the game set number 2, then you have to have 2 people inside the room, if you have 3 or 1, then obviously you're gonna get killed even though you are inside the room, like some players decide to do that, but obviously they get killed, because there's cameras everywhere, that's how they basically fact check the game, you could say that, and yeah, Inho basically decided to kill a guy, and then obviously they were able to survive the game because of Wang In-hyo, that basically shocked Junbei, but because of that decision, they were able to survive the game. And then in this one, the rest of the Gihan's team decided to vote out of the game, this time around, and hopefully they can end the game permanently this time around, but obviously there is a bunch of other people that still wanted the game to continue, and it seems like in this vote, Gihan and Inho basically trying to persuade other players to vote to end the games, but obviously they want to avoid the physical fight, but eventually the vote started, and then the vote actually end in a tie, because this one girl decided to follow the crazy guy, the crazy ladies like cult, I guess you could say that, because that's how the vote changes, and then that's why they are tied this time around, and it's like, man, it's just never going to end, and I feel like, again, I think Hwang In-hyo characters or the frontman character decide to do this because he wants to prove to Gihan how much that the game will not end, and I think, yeah, man, it was kind of heartbroken, because the game just like, again, Gihan just wanted the game to end, and that's it, but obviously they keep doing this vote, just to prove a point to Gihan, because in the first season they only do one vote, and I think they did the one vote because I think Sangwoo decided to Sangwoo or someone else, decide to ask the pink soldier, the square guy, to like, hey, can we vote out of the game, because that's the rules, if the majority of the people decide to quit the game, then obviously the game will stop, and I think that's why they decided to do the democracy vote in the first season, but they don't really do it after every single game in the first season. But in season two, they did it every single time, which is, I think, is really new, and I think it was the frontman plan to prove a point to Gihan here, so he was confident that the game will start, even though in the first vote, if it wasn't for him, then the game will absolutely either cancel or continue, because obviously, because the player one was actually the frontman, so obviously he was able to make the game continue, and then prove a point to Gihan, so I think that's an interesting plan in my opinion, that obviously will broke Gihan even further than this. And after the boat, I think there's a fight scene that happens in the bathroom, where Thanos actually strangling Myungi, that's his name, Myungi, the YouTuber crypto guy, where Thanos, which is like the most fun character in the series, actually got killed, by a fork, and I think, like, I know Thanos is an asshole, but I really having a fun time with the actor playing Thanos here, and it seems like he was a famous actor, because a lot of people are hyped to see the guy in this season 2 here, and I gotta say, the actor who plays Thanos, I think he does a great job, for playing a really fun character, but also like a really, like a really unhinged, person, choiseunghyun, or I guess TOP, I think, yeah, TOP, which is like professionally known in South Korea, and he's actually a rapper and a singer. So a lot of people are actually hyped to see him in season 2, So yeah, he does a great job, playing this character, and it kind of sad to see him go in episode 6, which is kind of weird that, like, I felt bad for the bad guy this time around, I felt bad for the recruiter dying in season 1, and I feel bad for Thanos dying, because I think these two characters are really, really fun, but yeah, obviously they had to go because they're the bad guys, so yeah, that's how episode 6 ended now, and then we get to the final episodes, episode 7, called Friend or Foe, so in this one, we see Detective Junho again, where the team try to find the island, but obviously they can't find it, because it was revealed that the captain of the boat, which is Captain Park, are actually revealed to be a double agent, so I think it makes sense why Junho never find the island, because obviously Captain Park actually misleading Junho the entire time, and then that's why they were able to find the island throughout the entire season, but that's basically the end of their story, which is kind of disappointing. But obviously they're gonna continue that in season 3, and I think Captain Park is gonna be a much bigger character in season 3. Like a lot of this character in season 3 is gonna be much bigger in season 3, obviously, because that's the completion of it, So yeah, after the bathroom brawls, Gihan knows that the player O, essentially, the people who agrees to for the game to continue. I think Gihan knows that they will attack the player who voted X, because they were given the symbol here, who voted O or X, so that it kind of like divided them in a way. And Gihan predicts that obviously there's gonna be another fight that happens in the dorm, essentially, and it does the fight does happen, but he does convince a number of the player X, to hide under the bed to avoid the conflict, but he's actually sacrificing some people, or like some player in his own team, so he can progress his own mission, which is something that I did not expect to see that from Gihan's character, because it seems like Song-gyun are just trying to save pretty much everybody, but like in this one, it's pretty clear that he's not afraid to sacrifice a few lives to achieve his own goal, because I think even Hwang In-hyo, the farmer, was actually a bit disappointed by Giha's decision, based on his face expression in like certain scenes, I think. But yeah, which is again makes the character even more interesting, because I think Hwang In-hyo actually, maybe he's actually trying to stop the game. Maybe he actually wanted Song Gi-hyun to actually succeed on trying to stop the game. It seems like it, before he changes his mind later on in the episodes, because after this, Gihan and some number of his players decided to attack the pink soldiers, and they tried to grab the gun, and then they were able to kill several of the soldiers and grab their magazines, and they tried to start. So they start a rebellion, and then they go to this like this awesome set pieces, that we see in season 1 and season 2, and they basically have like a Call of Duty battle here, essentially, with this map, because I don't know if Call of Duty have a collaboration with Squid Game, maybe they do, but they need to, man. They need to collaborate with Squid Game in season 2, because I feel like the shootout here in the end of season 2 could be a map of the Call of Duty game, because like the entire scene itself feels like a Call of Duty games, to be honest, like there's a bunch of maze, there's a bunch of doors that leads to nowhere, and there's gonna be a bunch of pink soldiers that you have to be careful and shoot them and find them, essentially, so like the scene itself was really, really intense in my opinion, but Gihan and Jungbae decided to team up, and they tried to find the manager's control room, essentially, and then they were able to move forward, and I think they're almost at the control room, and I think they're almost at the control room, and but before that they were stopped by several of the square soldiers, who opens fires at them, and there's several of the players as well. They got stuck in the maze, because of the pink soldiers like shootout, essentially, there's several of the cool shot in the scene itself, it's absolutely amazing, and some of the players named Daeho, I think, which is like really close from Junpei, he actually has a panic attack, or like a PTSD, because like he was tested to retrieve more ammo from the pink soldier's dead body, but he fails to return with the ammo, because he feels stressful and he feels afraid. And because of that, they were all basically overtaken by the pink soldier this time around, but Hyungju basically survived, and Inho decided to take several of the players, and then he decided to betray the group by killing the two players, and then basically faking his death to Song Gi-hun through the radio, and then he decided to signal or like radio the other pink soldiers people to basically finish this mess, so I think this is like the switch we see with frontman, because I don't know if the frontman's plan was this the entire time, or there's actually another plan where maybe he's like trying to either prove a point to Gi-han, or maybe he's like secretly wishing Gi-han to succeed on stopping the game, because I think there's several moments where I think he kind of like rooted for Gi-han there. So yeah, it's really interesting, to see what's gonna happen for his counter in season 3. We also get to see the father counters, where he got shot, by a pink soldiers, and I think this pink soldier was actually Kang Ne-ol, like they don't really confirm that, but I don't think the father counters are actually dead, because I think Kang Ne-ol is gonna have a bigger counters in the future. I think she's gonna team up with Gi-han, because like she's the woman from the pink soldiers group, so maybe this time she's gonna be able to help Gi-han to actually stop the game this time around, but I don't think the father counters are actually dead, I think No basically shot him in the non-fatal area, maybe, who knows, but yeah, and after this we get to see the frontman, obviously dress up as the frontman, and then he decided to execute Jungbae in front of Gi-han, which I think is a really horrific way to end the season, because like it was actually the fireman trying to prove another point to Gi-han, where it's like, oh, like, are you enjoying for playing the hero here, like look at the consequences, and obviously this broke Gi-han even further, and I really cannot wait to see what's gonna happen in season 3 for his counter, and that's how season 2 ends, so hey guys, future Ezra here, and while I was editing, I forgot to mention one other things that kind of disappoint me in episode 7, is that a character named Sammy, played by Won Ji-an, and then the other character is named Park Min-soo, played by Lee David, I think the way they handled Sammy's character was a bit disappointing. I think it's very disappointing, because in the game, or in the season 2, Minsu and Sammy seems to have like a at least a really like supporting relationship in a way, where Park Min-soo was like a shy guy, and then obviously he's afraid, he's a coward, and obviously all that kind of stuff, and then obviously Thanos and his henchmen are using him a lot, because obviously he's a coward, but Sammy was there for him, and throughout the game we see that Min-soo actually betrays Sammy, I think one time in the Mingle game in episode 6, and this kind of like restrained their relationship in a way, and I thought that they're gonna get back at least reconcile, in the future episodes, because I thought that Minsu decided to vote X, basically going against Thanos, so like he's joining Sammy there on the X side, and I thought that they're going to reconcile their relationship, and in episode 7, when the riot started, Sammy actually got killed, by one of the Thanos henchmen, so I'm just like, man, that was really disappointing, because I was expecting more between Minsu and Sammy. I thought they might gonna become maybe a couple in the futures, or at the very least has a very supporting relationship. That we're gonna see Minsu actually becoming brave for once. I thought that's going to happen in episode 7. Where Sammy is like fighting one of the guys. And then like that didn't happen. Like Minsu just sit up there in the bed, and then he's cowering in fear, and then Sammy just got killed. And that was really disappointing, because I thought there's gonna be a bit more from her characters, because I feel like right now we're gonna be following Minso, like maybe finally standing up for himself, but I feel like without Sammy there, it's kind of disappointing, because it seems like they're trying to building a relationship here, and I think even the actress who plays Sammy says that, oh, like the chemistry between Sammy and Minsu is gonna be, interesting at the very least. That's what I think. That's what she said on the interview. And then you watch the show, she just died in episode 7. So I think that was quite disappointing. I wanted more from these two. Like I think Sammy could become a reason why Minsu becoming brave. And I thought that's going to happen, but it didn't. She just died, and it was kind of disappointing, in terms of his character. And I understand why she died, because like they probably want to progress Minsu like characters, by finally becoming brave, because this is the consequences for being a coward, where one of the people you care about actually die. Like I understand the purpose, but I just don't think it's necessary. I think it's quite disappointing for creating a characters that I care about, and then they just die just to further progress another characters. I just don't really like that idea that much. So yeah, that sense was kind of disappointing. Kind of like how the season 2 just killed Thanos, like kind of like unceremoniously, in the bathroom with a fork. I was expecting more from Thanos, but like he just died. And I thought that Thanos is gonna becoming a bigger antagonist in the future, but that didn't happen. So that's really disappointing as well. Yeah, overall, I think this season are actually great, because I know that this season is not exactly live up to the first season, because the first season are essentially a lightning in a bottle, like it's something that was never going to be replicate, so yeah, I think season 2, I still think season 2 is a good job to expanding the world of Squid Game. I do think hwangdonghyuk does a good job to set up several of the characters, even though that yes, there is some character that was set up here that's not going to reveal too much from them, because like season 3 is coming, like the father characters are still there, I'm assuming, like Hong Neo is still there, like she doesn't do much in season 2, but she was an interesting character, and obviously Captain Park from Junho team was revealed to be a double agent, so that there is several elements here from season 2 that was introduced here, but obviously it wasn't finished until season 3, so obviously, speaking of season 3, I think my prediction for season 3 are obviously Kang Nyeol, the soldier woman. Like she's gonna be really important in season 3 here. I think she's gonna be the one who helps Gihan to stop the game. Especially she was actually the woman in the inside of the game. So I think that's really cool. I think she knows like the Squid Game area or system maybe. And maybe she's going to try to help Gihan this time around and try to save the father's life. Because again, I don't think the fathers are actually dead. Because I think Kang Nyeol might shoot him in the non-fatal area maybe, and then I think this will lead to the organ harvesting mission, and I think I also have a theory that I think Junho might able to find the island maybe thanks to the organ harvesting mission, because like that organ harvesting mission is gonna come back at some point in season 3, and I think it's gonna be way more important rather than just oh, like it's a mission and then that's it. Because I don't think so. I think that's going to come back in the plot of season 3, and I think it might play like a bigger role there in season 3. And yeah, I also looking forward to see the interaction between Junho and Hwang In-hyo, the frontman, because they never share a screen time in season 2, but they did set up an interesting character with Detective Junho here, where he basically said that, where he basically knows that the frontmen are his brother, but he's trying to hide that friend from the police, even from Song Gi-hun himself, and yeah, I am really curious to see what's gonna be the relationship between the three of them, like how Gi-han will react, if the frontman was actually Junho's brother this time around, like this three characters is gonna be the relationship between the frontman, Detective Junho, and Song Gi-hun is gonna be really interesting in season 3, because obviously Gi-han and Junho are actually teaming up to stop the Squid Game, but obviously Junho knows that the frontman, the man who is basically leading the game, are actually his own brother, so like how is this conflict is going to solve, like is the frontman is going to maybe try to eventually help them to stop the game, or maybe she's going to or maybe he's actually still convinced that the Squid Game are actually, right, or like it's like there's no stopping it until the world is changing, so I am really curious to see where the theme for season 3 will go, and I cannot wait to see the relationship, or I guess a conflict between Song Gi-hyun, Detective Junho, and Hwang In-hyo, the frontman, because I think that's gonna be the highlight of season 3 now. And you're right, I'm really hoping that Hyun-joo, the transgender character in season 2, is not going to be it's not going to die, because I like her characters, and I'm really hoping that the mother and son character also survive, because I also like their characters, and there are several other asshole, in the O team essentially they're still alive, so like they have to be killed at some point in season 3, and I cannot wait for that, so yeah, there's gonna be a new game I think in season 3. We get to see the teasers here in the teaser, for the third season, where we see basically like the doll's boyfriend, so the doll's name was actually named I guess like the male one named Chol Su, and then Young-hee was actually the giant robot girlfriend essentially, like the like green line robot, so Chol-su is gonna be introduced in season 3, so apparently there's gonna be a brand new game with the two dolls, which is like, okay, like that is interesting. I wonder what's gonna be the game in season 3 now, so hopefully there's gonna be at least 3 new games in season 3 now. Hopefully there is another extra game that they have to play in a way, and I'm really hoping that the season 3 game, these 3 new games in season 3 are gonna be entirely new. Hopefully it's entirely new and not just like repeating the same stuff, from the previous season, because I would love to see something new, from season 3, and just to see what's gonna be the new game for season 3, so yeah, there's a lot of things that we'll be looking forward to season 3, so yeah, I'm really glad that season 3 is gonna be released in maybe in June 2025, who knows, like June or maybe fall 2025, and it's gonna be the final season of Squid Game, which I'm really glad that was the case, because I'm really glad hwangdonghyuk decided not to milk the Squid Game franchise even further here, because to some people it feels like that he's already milking the Squid Game franchise by doing a season 2, which I get it, but I still think season 2 still did a great job, at least, for introducing a brand new storyline here, with some nostalgia obviously from the first season, but I feel like there is an interestingly new stuff, for Song Kyu's character, even the frontman's characters, like I think the most disappointing for season 2 is that a bunch of characters that were set up, but then that never go anywhere, until season 3, same thing with Detective Junho's character, because I think his plot point was the most boring one in season 2, where every single time we cut back to them, they just like, hey, we lost, and we need to find an island, so let's find an island, and damn, this is not the island. Shit, like it's kind of boring, when we cut back to Junho's character, so hopefully in season 3, Junho can be done justice, and then he's gonna have a bigger role in season 3, hopefully, but yeah, it's gonna coming real soon, guys. We don't have to wait until the end of the year, so that's a good news at the very least, and yeah, I cannot wait to see how the season will wrap up, so yeah, that's my review for, I guess, spoiler review for Squid Game season 2, guys. Let me know in the comment section below, like what do you guys think about this season right here, because some people love it and some people actually hated the season, so, and which one is your favorite episodes, and then which one is your favorite game as well, even though the game is not exactly the main focus of season 2, but I really like the mingle game, like the round around game, because I think that's like the visually most stunning game, but also like really intense at the same time, so I really love that, so yeah, let me know your opinions in the comment section below, guys, and maybe if you guys have any theory for what's going to happen or prediction for what's going to happen in season 3, then please share them in the comment section below. I will love to read about them, because I'm pretty sure there is some stuff that I completely missed or forgot to mention, so yeah, just leave your opinions in the comment section below, guys, and if you guys enjoyed this review, then make sure guys, play that subscribe and like button, guys, share videos, do usual stuff, and stay tuned for more reviews in the future, guys. And again, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I will see you guys in the next one then. Bye.